I think Zach Bryan puts on a big mask. I don't know if Zach Bryan's really that great of a person.
Just keep a left foot heavy on the pedal. Don't let them get.
That shit ain't country music, and it ain't ever been country music, and it ain't gonna be country music.
Gavin Adcock might be the most controversial figure in country music right now. He's taken shots at Zach Bryan, called out Charlie Crockett, and never seems afraid to say exactly what's on his mind. Love him or hate him, Gavin has a way of keeping people talking.
Hey, buddy, you gonna lose your damn job, you stupid bum.
But here's the thing, this didn't start on a stage. To really understand Gavin, we have to go way back. Back to a kid growing up on a cattle farm in small town Georgia. A kid who dreamed more about football than music, until one injury forced him to pick up a guitar, and somewhere in between, he created one of the most legendary moments in college football history. Standing on top of a yellow school bus, chugging a beer as hundreds of fans lost their minds. From farm life to football to a career-ending injury that turned him to music, and now, in just a few short years, one of country's biggest rising stars. So this is the rise and the chaos of Gavin Adcock.
Can feel the road view.
This video is sponsored by our friends at Marshwear, but more on them later. Before the headlines and controversy, Gavin Adcock's story started in Watkinsville, Georgia, a farm town just south of Athens. For Gavin, growing up on his family's cattle farm meant long days in the fields with his dad and doing all types of work. His mother would end up also being a nurse in town. Working with his dad, the radio would be on, and Gavin would sing along to songs like Waylon and Willie's Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys, Johnny Cash's Folsom Prison Blues, and yes, even some Kid Rock. Gavin would belt the words out loud, but back then, it wasn't about being a singer. It was just a boy spending time with his dad. On weekends, they'd sit together and watch bull riding. His dad even showed him the movie 8 Seconds, the story of Lane Frost, the champion bull rider who tragically dies in the ring. Gavin looked at his dad and said, "I don't know about this bull riding thing." Music and rodeo weren't his calling at the time. His sights were set on something else. For Gavin, the dream was football. By the time he was 7 years old, he had already been suiting up in pads, playing ball in a town where Friday nights were everything. In high school, he became a two-way lineman, holding it down on both offense and defense. He wasn't flashy, but man, he was gritty. He played on the line, fought through the trenches, and earned a reputation for outworking guys who were bigger, faster, and stronger. But when it came time for recruiting, the offers didn't exactly roll in. Maybe some Division II schools here and there, but not much. Most people would have taken the safe route. Stay close to home, settle for smaller opportunities. Gavin thought different. He figured if he was going to chase football, he might as well chase it at the highest level he could. So when his high school coach mentioned he had a connection at Georgia Southern, Gavin didn't hesitate. He walked on with no promises, no guarantees, really just a shot. And it didn't take long before he proved himself. Gavin worked his way into a scholarship and eventually played quite a bit on the defensive line. From a kid from Watkinsville, this was everything. It looked like the dream was coming true. But then disaster struck. Going into his last year, Gavin tore his patella and meniscus, a brutal knee injury that put him in a full leg cast. In an instant, the game he had lived for was taken away. With nothing to do but recover, Gavin reached for something he hadn't touched in years, a guitar. He'd first picked one up at 16, but he really never took it seriously. Now, stuck in his room with time to kill, he began writing music again.
One Georgia Southern football player has entered the spotlight in Statesboro, but not just for football. Gavin Adcock spends his time on the field during the day, but at night, his voice can be heard around Statesboro.
He began writing songs, some about football, some about small town life, and one day he posted a video to social media. That post in the spring of 2021, just Gavin singing a song, he got 10 to maybe 15,000 views. And when researching for this video, that song was most likely a song called We Love Football.
Right there, I was a man, busting our ass in the grass and the dirt for the love and the fun and the pain and the hurt.
And hey, it fit him perfectly at the time. Gavin at the time probably thought to himself, well, maybe music is worth chasing. He would put out some more videos on YouTube and Instagram and would make his own TikTok soon after, and then, right before the football season started, it was time to put out his first ever song for streaming, and that was Ain't No Cure, which he actually wrote part of in 2018 but finally finished it in 2021. Football wasn't quite done with him yet. In the fall of 2021, Gavin returned to the field, determined to finish out his career. That's when he created one of the most legendary moments in Georgia Southern football history. The Eagles had a tradition. Every game day, the team would ride a convoy of old yellow school buses to the stadium. Fans would line the route, screaming and cheering as the buses rumbled past. I mean, this was the kind of thing that made Georgia Southern football feel bigger than life.
It's the history with those things. You think about all the players and coaches that have ridden those same school buses and all the great things we've done in this program. And I think that's a really special part of this program.
But Gavin Adcock, he didn't just ride the bus. He climbed on top of it. As the buses rolled toward the stadium before a game against Louisiana, Gavin stood tall on the roof. Out of a crowd, someone tossed him a beer. And right there in front of hundreds of fans, Gavin cracked it open and chugged it.
I'm off the deep end.
The place erupted. Phones shot up in the air, clips hit social media instantly. In a matter of hours, the video was everywhere. It was reckless. It was bold. It was pure Gavin. But that moment was also a breaking point. The coaches didn't like the look, but more importantly, they wanted Gavin to not post anything about his music until the season was over. Not long after, Gavin's time with football came to an end.
Georgia Southern defensive lineman Gavin Adcock is no longer a member of the football team. Georgia Southern Athletic Department officials confirming the WJCL, the senior was removed from the team Sunday afternoon.
He walked away from the sport that had defined his entire life, so he turned his focus on building his dreams one song at a time. Gavin was building confidence. Ain't No Cure, the song he released just a few months earlier, had already over 100,000 streams. But during these early days, what was more impressive is that he was already starting to build an audience and a fan base. People showed up for this dude. Check out the story real quick on the Bobby Bones Show where Gavin describes playing a paid gig for the first time.
I was a couple months into playing, had one song out, hit up the main bar. They said I could play for free drinks. And I was like, no, I've kind of got a little bit of a following. It ain't much, but around here I got a following. So I went to their bar, which is their competition, and told them. And they were like, yeah, we'll pay you $300. Come out here and sing on syllabus week on Tuesday night. And I was like, hell yeah, we're coming. And we went out there. We killed it. The bar was packed full. And the owner come up to me and he gave me $500 instead of $3 and said, it was great tonight. So I was like, I like this.
And in response to the insane beer chugging incident, he thought he might as well capitalize on it.
Did y'all ever see the guy chugging the beer on the way to the game on top of a moving school bus? Well, that was me. Got into a lot of social media scrutiny, got kicked off the team, and I let out this song, put this as the cover. Y'all go take a listen.
Riding Southern Saturday, yeah.
When Gavin Adcock drops a song, everyone's stoked. But what's also exciting is when Marshwear drops their new fall collection every year. First up, the Sea Drift overshirt. It's like a flannel but even warmer and perfect for those cool fall days. I love layering it with a waffle shirt for that extra warmth. And speaking of layering, the Sullivan quarter zip is perfect for those cool mornings, whether you're out on the boat or just enjoying the outdoors. And don't forget the new hats and jackets like the Baytown Sherpa jacket and the Westwood jacket, which are pretty dang stylish and cozy if you ask me. And of course, we got the escape pant and the long haul pants for all your adventures. You can use our code at checkout for 15% off any full priced item. Back to the video. So yeah, Gavin wasn't slowing down. He was releasing single after single, working on the cattle farm back home, connecting with fans on social media, and he was building his brand, really. Gavin was practically giving fans singles once a month and recording them at Full Moon Studios in his hometown. All those singles Gavin kept cranking out in 2022 eventually came together as his first real statement, Bonfire Blackout, released in May of 2023.
I ain't no sense sleeping with these girls.
And honestly, this record was a springboard to everything he's doing today. These songs didn't just live on streaming platforms, they got fans into venues. When Gavin started selling tickets, it was these songs that made venues packed houses. The album really highlights Gavin's unique vocal style, that country rock edge, but what surprised me most were the moments where he slowed it down. Of course, we get more of that rock sound, like Deep End off the record, but some of my favorite tracks are the more intentional, emotional songs that show another side of him. Take Thrivin' Here, for example.
I wrote this song when I tore my knee up back in college, and this song's about finding yourself when you don't know who you are, and if you know it, you OG fan. This song's called Thrivin' Here.
A story about a girl slipping away to someone else, and Gavin wrestling with that feeling. But instead of wallowing in his sorrow, the hook flips it. He's saying, actually, I'm thriving without you. The conviction in his voice makes it even hit harder.
Being alone, stand down stone, I'm glad you're...
Or All Out of Whiskey. I mean, it's classic heartbreak territory, downing sorrows in a bottle.
I'll tell you why I'm high.
But Gavin turns it into something fresh with one of the catchiest hooks on the record. It's simple, but the way he delivers it sticks in your head.
Cause I'm too drunk to drive and I'm all out of whiskey.
And at the end of the day, it's those slower, intentional songs that really shine through on Bonfire Blackout. They gave fans something deeper to connect to, and more importantly, they set up Gavin for the next chapter of his career. At this point, things were really starting to pick up steam for Gavin. He was landing interviews, connecting with bigger audiences, and in March of 2024, he made his Grand Ole Opry debut, performing his very first song, Ain't No Cure.
Opry debut, will you welcome Gavin Adcock?
For an artist just a few years earlier, playing for bar tabs, standing in that circle was a huge milestone. Behind the scenes, labels had already been circling, but Gavin wasn't about to rush into a bad deal. He waited until the right opportunity came along, and eventually he signed with Warner Music, a move that set him to release what felt like a true album debut, Actin Up Again. But before the album even dropped, Gavin gave fans a taste of what was coming with the single, A Cigarette.
Caffeine, nicotine, fueling all my crazy dreams.
And this one went crazy. It was stripped back with just a guitar and some steel. It leaned into that raw outlaw vibe. On the surface, of course, it's about a cigarette. But really, the song paints a picture of a traveling musician's chaotic life, full of wild nights and long roads, and beneath all of that is the longing for someone he can't be with.
I was holding your hand and that's the truth.
The cigarette becomes kind of like a fill-in or a stand-in, a fleeting comfort for the void she left behind.
Right now, a cigarette will do.
That stripped down honesty struck something with listeners, and it gave Gavin a wave of buzz heading straight into the release of Actin Up Again. And yes, after this record, we'll talk about all the headlines he's been in, so just hang in there. When Actin Up finally dropped, it felt like Gavin had officially arrived. The record leaned hard into that mix of country grit and rock and roll energy, packed with electric guitars, big choruses, and the kind of songs made to be played loud in a crowd. Of course, A Cigarette was the runaway hit, but there would be lots of others that would be standouts. Take 4-Leaf Clover. It's a wordplay heavy rocker that plays with the idea of luck.
Baby, come over, we'll turn off these porch lights.
Rabbit's feet, horseshoes, 4-leaf clovers to ultimately get lucky, if you know what I mean. But at the heart of it, it's Gavin's yearning for connection, and when that chorus explodes with guitars, it's undeniable.
Getting lucky as a 4-leaf clover. Baby, come.
Then there's Run Your Mouth, a track that just hits you in the chest. Whether you're at the gym, driving with the windows down, or throwing a party, this one will fire you up.
Just keep a left foot heavy on the pedal. Don't let them catch.
But Gavin also shows another side. Wake Up With You opens with this insanely catchy acoustic riff, and it carries this kind of bittersweet melancholy energy that sticks with you.
I've been a hell of a highwayman, home's been a hook.
And then there's Don't Like Leaving You, a song that nods towards Chris Stapleton's Tennessee whiskey style in a way, smooth, romantic, and soulful, but it's still undeniably Gavin.
even tomorrow. I'll have you.
Actin Up Again wasn't just another release. It was Gavin planting his flag and saying, "This is me, and I'm here to stay." So in 2024, Actin Up showed the world that Gavin could deliver a popular record. But if there's one thing you can't separate from his story, it's the controversy. Because while his music was climbing the charts and selling out shows, Gavin was also making headlines for reasons far beyond the stage in 2025. Yes, he had new music and another album that came out this year, but come on, let's talk about all the drama. Gavin makes it known that he will speak his mind, no matter who rubs him the wrong way. And in just a short stretch, he managed to stir up drama with some of the biggest names in the industry. From questioning Beyonce's music was really country, to taking shots at Charlie Crockett, to his very public back and forth with Zach Bryan, Gavin Adcock had officially become one of the most polarizing figures in country music. So let's start. At one of his shows, Gavin called out the superstar Beyonce, sitting on top of the Apple Country charts, saying this.
One of me on the Apple Music country charts, and one of them's Beyonce. You can tell her we're coming for her That shit ain't country music, and it ain't ever been country music, and it ain't gonna be country music.
Of course, the internet lit up, and not long after, Gavin backtracked a bit, admitting that his mom used to play Beyonce in the car, and he thought her Super Bowl performance was pretty good. But he doubled down on the heart of his point. His opinion that real country artists were being overshadowed, and he wasn't afraid to call it out.
I'm gonna go ahead and clear this up. When I was a little kid, my mama was blasting some Beyonce in the car. I've heard a ton of Beyonce songs, and I actually remember her Super Bowl halftime show being pretty kick-ass back in the day. But I really don't believe that her album should be labeled as country music. It doesn't sound country, it doesn't feel country, and I just don't think that people that have dedicated their whole lives to this genre and this lifestyle should have to compete or watch that album just stay at the top just because she's Beyonce.
But if you thought that was bold, just wait. Because in late July, Zach Bryan found himself at the center of a fan controversy. After a young fan complained about not getting a picture, Zach explained that he wasn't obligated after playing over 2 hours, and allegedly ended the post with GOMD. So days later, Gavin jumped right into the conversation. He posted a video captioned how an artist should act when fans have been waiting in line all day, showing himself greeting fans outside the venue, a not so subtle jab at Zach Bryan. And then, as if scripted, Gavin's truck was broken into just days later. So his response, a video joking that it must have been Beyonce, Zach, or the sound guy. But wait, a sound guy? Let's rewind.
Hey, dipshit. Hey, buddy, you gonna lose your damn job, you stupid ass bum. You better off back there. That was my daddy right there, and f***ing stupid in the backwards hat right there was giving him a hard time, so you
Around that same time, Gavin made headlines for a wild scene at one of his shows. After a drink was set on a soundboard, a drink that belonged to his guitarist's mom, the sound guy allegedly cursed her out and tried to throw it. Gavin's dad stepped in, tempers flared, and the sound guy tried to get security to kick Gavin's dad out of the venue. Gavin lost it.
Sound dude comes around the corner, sees the drink, slings it off the soundboard, it's empty by the way, and goes to cussing out my acoustic guitar player's mom. So my dad hears it, probably about 5-10 yards away, steps over, gets in the dude's face, basically tells him, you better back up, dude, because people from the South don't act that way. We don't know where you're from, but you need to get out of here.
But things were only getting more heated. By mid-August, Charlie Crockett entered the picture.
Hello, I'm Charlie Crockett.
He posted a long caption criticizing bro country and defending Beyonce's place in the genre. He didn't call Gavin out by name, but the timing was clear. Gavin fired back hard. He said somebody needs to tell the act that let out Jamestown Ferry 6 times to work on letting out original music. I've got more under my pinky than you've seen in your whole life. Hank Sr. called and asked about the cosplay cowboy. Charlie's response, instead of firing shots back, He leaned into it, sending him a bouquet of roses and his latest album on vinyl. Gavin shared a video of it. He's still tossing some jabs, saying Charlie only switched venues because he couldn't sell enough tickets.
Well, apparently last night Charlie Crockett was supposed to play the venue that we're playing tonight, but he didn't sell enough tickets, so he had to move to a smaller venue down the street. But before he left, he sent me 60 roses and a $3 vinyl, so shout out to Charlie Crockett. Appreciate you, buddy.
On social media, Charlie kind of laughed it off with his fans, still kind of making fun of the situation. Gavin leaned into it even harder, and then in September, while opening for Morgan Wallen, Gavin held up a Charlie Crockett shirt on stage, and Morgan Wallen flipped it the bird in front of a crowd. And just when you thought it was done, the Zach Bryan saga isn't over.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man.
At the end of August, Gavin told Rolling Stone Nashville he didn't even know if Zach was a good person.
You know, it wasn't about not wanting to sign autographs after a show. It's just like letting a 14-year-old kid rant without saying, get off my...
Which is the kid who, for those of you who don't know, the kid that wanted autograph was like 14, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're bigger than that.
And that was his reply. Yeah. Get off my...
I think that Zach Bryan puts on a big mask in his day-to-day life, and sometimes he can't help but rip it off and show his true colors. I don't know if Zach Bryan's really that great of a person.
So this led to a confrontation at the Born and Raised Festival. So yeah, Zach met him at a barbed wire fence, ready to fight, practically saying, let's do this. Gavin kind of backed off, saying he wasn't about to get arrested and miss a show that fans paid to see. And that's where it stands, at least for now. In less than a year, Gavin Adcock has stirred drama between Beyonce, Zach Bryan, Charlie Crockett, and even a sound guy. Depending on who you ask, it was reckless or it was genius marketing. But one thing's for sure, Gavin Adcock refuses to be ignored. But the question still remained, did the music actually hold up? That's where his latest record, Own Worst Enemy, comes in. Released right in the middle of all of this chaos, it felt like Gavin's answer to the critics. A chance to prove that behind all of the headlines, he could still deliver songs that stick. The album kicks off with Morning Bail, and the timing couldn't have been more ironic. Gavin had just been arrested for reckless driving in Wilson County, Tennessee after being clocked at 103 miles per hour in his 73 Dodge Challenger. Days later, he released a single with the caption, "I wrote this song a few months back and planned to put it out on the album, but I figured that there's no time better than now." The track itself isn't wild or aggressive, it's smooth, laid back, and almost casual. But knowing the context, it hits different.
I can't make morning bell.
From there, Own Worst Enemy dives into what's become Gavin's most popular song of this whole era, Need To.
Sometimes you need to let it all go.
It's one of those sway back and forth kind of tunes, easygoing and catchy, but it's also clever. Gavin leads into wordplay, flipping "sometimes you need to" into both a nod to life's struggles and an escape. It's a song that is about letting things go, and it's one of those tracks you can throw on any time of day, really.
Sometimes you need to.
Another highlight is Almost Gone, featuring Vincent Mason. The two have undeniable chemistry, and you can hear in every line they trade.
I could chase her right now, catch her on a slow.
The song is packed with fierce electric guitars, but what really makes it stick are the whistles running through the track. It feels unique, fun, and full of energy. Then you get to Loose Strings, which pulls things back a little. It's mostly Gavin and a guitar, stripped down and vulnerable.
These loose strings.
It's a laid-back reflection on lost love. It's simple, but it resonates with the listener. On the other end of the spectrum is On One.
But dive into the trouble.
This is the song you can put on in the gym, in a truck, or before a night out. It's rocking, it's unapologetic. It's Gavin in a nutshell, embodying that do what I want spirit that's defined his whole career from the start. And then there's Never Call Again, catchy, sharp.
To something that I hate.
The truth is, no one really sounds like Gavin Adcock, whether it's his tone, his phrasing, or just the attitude he carries. He's carved out something different in today's country scene. When you step back and look at the record as a whole, Own Worst Enemy feels like Gavin's strongest album yet. It balances that raw country rock energy with softer, steady moments of vulnerability. It's polished, it's consistent, and more than anything, it's proof that Gavin isn't just a headline. This is the album that officially put him on the map, backed by a marketing strategy that kept his name everywhere, whether it was intentional or not. The question now is really, can he keep this momentum going? Will Gavin Adcock be remembered as country music's wild card that carved out his own lane, or will he just kind of crash and burn? What do you think? Is Gavin here to stay? Before we go, I want to highlight artists that deserve to be heard, and I want to give a shout out to an artist named Bray. He has some feel-good tunes you can put on before a night out, but also some more emotional and introspective stuff as well.
Hanging by a thread, half dead if I was him. She's a part of my Sundays and Mondays don't bring me so down. Between making memories and making every dollar.
But that's all I have for today. I'll see you guys in my next video. Take care.